part 2 of the top 10 biggest mistakes people make before moving to the Philadelphia area. And you want to think through these things and understand how important each of these are. So I'm going to break down the next 5 here. And if you get some value out of this, you like what you hear, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell for notifications. And if you want to schedule a call with our team about how to avoid these mistakes, you can do that with the link in the comments. So mistake number 6, failing to account for the lifestyle change that can happen when you buy a home anywhere, whether it's in Philadelphia or somewhere else, because there's some places that are a little more rural. They're a little quieter. You'll see cows and deer and all sorts of Pennsylvania wildlife. There's some other places that are a little more happening, right? So some of the towns like Wayne or Westchester or Media, they tend to be a real happening place where there's a lot going on. Outdoor festivals, restaurants, bars, you name it, they're going on. So you really want to understand what kind of lifestyle you're buying into depending on where you're living, because we live in a very diverse area where it can go from quiet and serene to busy and bustling very quickly. You want to, again, drive through these places at night. Go through there on the off hours. Check them out on the weekends so you can understand exactly what kind of neighborhood that you're buying into. Mistake number 7 are not understanding the community amenities. So there's some townships, some school districts that have lots of great parks, and they've got great resources in their school system, and they have all sorts of extracurriculars for kids. And there's other places that don't really do a lot of that. So you want to understand, what's shopping going to look like? Are you close to a grocery store? Are you close to the mall, if that's what you're interested in, going to King of Prussia? Do you want to make sure you're close to restaurants, right? All these community amenities like shopping centers. It may sound silly. Going to the grocery store is a pain in the butt. You want to know how far those places are, or maybe you have dietary restrictions. You need to eat certain things. You want to be clear on restaurants and every amenity that's out there in the suburbs so you can be in close proximity. Again, there's some places that are a little more rural, and if you don't mind a 20, 30-minute drive to go do things, that's totally cool. That's not going to be for everybody. So you really want to understand what the parks are like. If you got kids, you want to run around outside, all that sort of stuff. Shopping. These are important things to consider, and there's a lot of great resources online where you can find them. Mistake number 8 is not understanding flood zones and environmental concerns. So flood zones, they're not common, but they do exist in this Philadelphia suburban market. So that can raise your homeowner's insurance cost. That can also, cause some damage to a property, as what we've seen. So you want to understand, are you in a flood zone? There's creeks, there's rivers, there's ponds. We've got all sorts of bodies of water in the greater Philadelphia area, especially in the suburbs, and you want to be able to understand them. And on top of flood zones, there's things like radon in the greater Philadelphia area. That's a gas that rises from the sediments, and certain neighborhoods have higher radon readings than others. So you want to understand, is radon going to be a concern? It's an easy thing to fix, but some people just don't want to be around it. So you want to understand everything that's going on from an environmental hazard. Maybe there's termites or carpenter bees. You got to worry about bamboo invading your property. Some townships have ordinance against it. Others don't. So these are all the things you're going to want to be aware of when it comes to the local ecology and the local areas and what goes on in the environment outside of the housing market. Mistake number 9, not being ready for the seasonal changes. We get all 4 seasons in Pennsylvania and in the suburbs. Sometimes in the fall, you get all 4 seasons in one day. So you've got to be ready for rain, snow, ice, hot temperatures, cold temperatures, you name it. We've got to be ready for it. So that's really what you want to understand and have the wardrobe for it, right? You got to dress differently. I'm filming this in the fall. I've got a little thicker jacket on because it was 40-some degrees today. In the summer, it can be very humid and very hot. This wouldn't fly then. I'd be sweating profusely, right? So you want to be ready for these seasonal changes from, one, understanding what's going on in your house, making sure the windows and the doors are tight, making sure your heater gets serviced on a regular basis, your air conditioner is working. Central air is a big deal for a lot of people. These are things you got to be aware of when the seasons change in the greater Philadelphia area. And the last thing, and this, hopefully you stay tuned for this one, not understanding how important the local sports teams are to the fabric of the community. People live and die by the Philadelphia Eagles. They get depressed when the Phillies lose in the playoffs. When the Sixers are good, people are excited. Then you got hockey fans as well. This means a lot here. And people from other cities don't really get it, but there's a sense of camaraderie. It brings people together, and people really care about the sports here. And it's an event, right? People will block off their whole day on Sunday to watch an Eagles game. Bars are packed. Restaurants are packed. There's watch parties. It means a lot here. So if you're interested in some sort of like community gatherings like that, it's a great way to bond.